Watch High and Outside with Malik Wright and Dante Miles every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live.
Welcome to High and Outside here on Facebook Live. I'm David Grubb sitting in for Malik Wright, and of course that is Dante Miles to my side. And we're going to bring you the best in MLB action this week from our perspective, some of the big stories. We'll try to run through those, and we'll be joined by some guests later on. Rachel Hill should come by and talk with us, and then we got a package in there as well. So plenty of stuff to talk about. D. Miles, how you doing first and foremost?
I'm good, bro. Down here in Atlanta, we had a big call up this week, so really just enjoying that and happy to I've been on the road, so happy to get back out to the ballpark and see Michael Harris II. And we'll talk about a little bit about that later, but I'm doing real good, man.
Man, we're starting to see part of the season now, and this is what you wanted to get to is when you get to June, as we get closer and closer to 4th of July, which is traditionally when you say these are the teams that are going to be in the playoff hunt, and you start figuring things out. But we're starting to see the races pick up. For a minute, it looked kind of dull in certain parts of the bigs, but over these last couple weeks now, we're seeing races develop. How important do you think that is? Because for a minute, it was hard to get some interest going.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very important because especially with the extra playoff spots. So, there's going to be a lot of teams in the mix. So you don't want to have these, big 8-9 game gaps in these divisions and then other teams just limp into the playoffs. That's not really what you want, because then it just proves everybody's point that it's like, it defeats the purpose, because, we always talk about the playoffs mean something. It's kind of like what Richard Jefferson was saying this week in regards to basketball. It's like when we talk about shortening seasons and adding playoff teams and all that, it takes away from the lure of what it is to be a professional athlete. And so I think it's important to get these races going. So I think going forward we need more of that. Injuries have played a big part, so I think as some teams get healthier, we'll see them play better. But also it's been a struggle for some teams all season. Teams that like the White Sox, that's the team I follow a lot. They had high expectations, and they were complete 180 from what the team they were supposed to be. So when you have things like that, it's going to play into us. But I think, like I said, like you said, going forward, this is very important. You need those races because it's hard enough to get eyes on it. We got everybody complaining about the split packages and how you got to have 30 subscriptions to watch games now. And so it's like, we need this. We need something something simple that can bring people in. And nothing brings people in like good baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you look at in the American League, and you have one division that's very contested in a sense, even though the Yankees are up 7.5 on Toronto, but we know Toronto can get hot. We know Tampa, year in and year out, another team that can be right there at the end. Even Boston sitting at 500. You got 45 teams above 500. That's the only division in the American League that looks like that. The rest of the American League, Twins are in first place. They're the only winning team in their division. Astros in first place in the West, the only winning team in their division. So the American League really, I think, needs to pick it up a little bit more than the National League, where you do have a bit more balance throughout the three divisions in the National League. But that competition has got to be tight. That's what baseball is for. It's that marathon. And I think it will pick up, and we'll start to see teams make those deals too. And we know that always has a big impact on who can make deals as we get closer to the break, and who starts figuring out who's in the race and who's out. Because, I mean, there's still an opportunity. And as we get closer to that, as you and Malik get closer to that, certainly I know you guys will cover trades, prospects, but it's almost that time. I mean, we're almost at 60 games here for the season. So, I mean, that's usually when those names really start picking up.
Yeah, we saw it last season with the Braves, when Acuna went down, Anthopoulos, he went out and he made a flurry of trades, and that, pushed him to the World Series. So you said that can change a team's entire season. So it's, like you said, a lot of good baseball left, but we need to see these races heat up. And so I'm glad it's starting to happen.
The guys who are the biggest names, maybe doing the most damage right now in all of baseball, that we need to focus on, two bros doing major damage. In the National League, nobody is higher than Mookie Betts. And in the American League, Aaron Judge has just been crushing the ball. Judge hit another home run today. It's these two guys, East Coast, West Coast, both of them, last year Judge had a phenomenal year and did everything he could to put the Yankees in position to win. Mookie was down last year in a lot of ways, and started this season pretty slow. But all of a sudden, I mean, dang, the last 2 weeks, is anybody hitting the ball better than Mookie Betts?
Yeah. I would say no. I think right now he is like the hottest player in baseball. I know Paul Goldschmidt's been on fire. I think he has like a 41 game on base streak or something like that, something crazy. But right now, Mookie, he's back in that MVP form. He dealt with a bunch of like leg injuries and things like that last season, but he's really been healthy. And now that you see him healthy and those legs healthy, he's driving the ball. Like he's driving the ball out of the park. He's right now he's slugging 607. So coming out a guy who bats leadoff the majority of the time for that loaded lineup. You know what I'm saying? It's man. It's like we talked about it on paper. It's one thing to see that lineup on paper, but now that we see it in action and actually rolling, and it's everything we thought it was going to be. Like, and Mookie is like he's the head of the snake, and so my guy, I think right now he's definitely the hottest hitter in baseball.
I mean, Malik's had him on the top of the high five for the last 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
and dude. Like you talk about in those 2 weeks, we're talking about 7 home runs, 16 RBI, only 11 strikeouts. He's leading all of baseball in batting average with 377. Goldschmidt is the only player I think that has a higher OPS than him, and it's just slightly because he gets a few more walks. He's getting a couple more walks than Mookie, but it's just the damage that he's able to do. And whenever you talk about him, you can't just talk about his offense. It's how good he is defensively too, and how much trouble he causes for teams and just taking up space as one of the elite outfielders in all of baseball. It's just he's doing Mookie Betts things, like all the things. He's scoring runs, he's getting on base, he's taking runs away. And when he's doing that, I don't know if there is a better 5-tool player.
Yeah. No, I agree, bro. And even same with Aaron Judge. Like we always talk about players who perform well in a contract year, but this is more of a trend as opposed to a blip with Aaron Judge. When he's healthy, he is one of the elite players in baseball. And talk about his weighted runs created plus is 205. League average is 100. So like he's doing double with the average production of a player that you would have on your squad. And like for the Yankees, I think that's a guy that you. Like I wrote about for MLBbros.com, I think they really dropped the ball when they didn't lock him up. This is a guy like he's a franchise changer. He's showing you that this season, and I think we talk about the MVP race. I think it's gonna come down to Betts and of course it's still early for MLB standards, but right. Betts and Judge are definitely gonna be in that top 5 conversation. I think the entire season. It's just a matter of staying healthy because we know how that goes. We know how that goes with them.
For those two guys, it's always the question, especially for Judge. I mean, a dude that struggles, quite frankly, to get over 120 games a season. So if he can be at 140 games this season, if he can give the Yankees 140 games.
Yeah, he's done it twice.
Yeah.
Right now, he's done it twice.
It was his the rookie of the year campaign. And last year
he did 148.
Yeah. So, I mean, so hopefully – if he stays healthy, like you said, he's one of the few players in baseball that you can move him up and down the lineup too. And he can carry. He can lead off. He can bat second. He can bat third. He can bat cleanup. He can do all those things. And we know he's one of the great outfielders in the game too, a Gold Glove level outfielder. So it's just if Judge is healthy, it's hard to find many people who can mess with him. We need to welcome in our guests at this point. Because we had Rachel. We got to bring in the boss lady. The first lady of baseball, Ms. Rachel Hill, to join us. And we're going to talk about the man on the mound in Cleveland, the one and only Triston McKenzie, who might be, again, we talk about just phenomenal. His pitching stats the last couple of weeks in particular. He's really growing into his own, isn't he?
Yeah. Hi, guys. How you guys doing?
Glad to have you.
Good. I'm doing good. Yeah, we love Triston. One of the reasons why Triston is kind of beloved, at least by me and some reporters and people in Cleveland, Ohio, is that he's just been kind of real, raw, and authentic. And, he talked about, how when he first came up, how the mental aspects of the game affected him a little bit. And I think he was very open, honest, real, and raw about that. And, Triston has kind of endeared himself to a lot of us in the media. So you root for him, just to go out there and crush every start that he has. But, as of right now, he's on a little, unfortunately, not on the downturn, but he's lost 3 out of his 4 starts. So Triston, had got off to a phenomenal start, but he's going through a little something right now. And, yesterday he dropped the game against the Orioles and kind of the long ball got to him. And, you wonder what's going on. But one of the things, with Triston is you got to make sure that he gets that run support. But, Orioles yard is kind of a, hitter's ballpark. And, unfortunately they went long and he gave up a 3-run home run. But I'm not worried about Triston or anything like that, even though he's lost 3 out of his 4 past starts. I'm not worried about him.
D-Miles, you got something?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Because it's been a gradual process with Triston, and it's something that these hiccups are gonna happen. And so, especially with a young pitcher, you need that run support. And playing on a team like Cleveland, they've I would say overachieved so far this season. We still don't really expect them to be in the race long term. So, I think it's going to be about that support and them, sticking with him and just understanding that these things are going to happen. But like I said, it's nothing to be concerned about. It's just, a part of the process.
Mm-hmm. He's still making people miss.
Yeah. And like you said, and that's my thing. Like, it's one thing when a guy struggles and like you don't really see it, but with Triston, you see it. You see the ace stuff he has. A lot of guys, they don't really have it, but he has it. It's just really about him. It's been the command or more than anything. But when someone acknowledges the mental aspect of it, that lets me know that he recognizes that, hey, I need to really lock in and get that tunnel vision, get that focus. And if he gets that, I think the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his stuff is so good. And, a pitch here, a pitch there, he could easily be 4-0 over his past few starts. So,
yeah.
And I think when you look at pitchers now, you have to get past the home run ball. Like before, it was something that was, maybe, a decade, 15, 20 years ago, whatever, the way you thought about it was different. But now I think young pitchers have to, once you get past that you've let one up, because there's so many solo shots. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's so many 1-run home runs at this stage in baseball that is just, I think, once you get past the fact that that's occasionally going to happen now, that the ball is just going to jump off other people's bats from now and then, it's just getting back into that zone, then I think he'll be fine as a pitcher. He's got the makeup, and he's got the arm talent. So it's just, can you get the seasoning and the mental maturity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's been the first one to admit that home runs really bother him a lot. But he gives up a couple of home runs and then he settles down. So that's a good thing too. Is how do I mentally recover and get back in this zone so I can execute on the rest of my pitches going forward? And he does pretty good. And that coaching staff works with him as well. Carl Willis is a heck of a pitching coach, and they work with him a lot. So I think for him it's a lot of that mental, but it comes with the maturation as well, because we're talking about a 23, 24-year-old kid, and that adult brain doesn't come until he's about 30. So it'll settle down, but he gets back in there, he gets locked, and he's ready to go, and he's able to execute from there on. So he's doing a better job at not letting it bother him.
I think we'll just watch and continue to see how he grows over the course of the season. Hopefully the Indians can put something consistent behind him and give him that opportunity to get into a groove where you don't feel like you have to be perfect for seven innings every night. That's just an impossible task, and especially for a young pitcher.
Yeah, and that's the thing you mentioned too, David, is that they have so many young players out there this year. They're kind of throwing stuff out there and seeing whether or not it'll stick. So right now they don't have a set of everyday players. They have a ton of young players out there behind him who are growing and maturing too into baseball players, and a whole bunch of kids getting called up. So that's another thing is who are you putting behind him defensively day in and day out? So right now we would love for the Guardians to contend, but they're probably not going to be contending at all right now. They're in third in the American League Central, but you have to think about the youth that is behind him as well. So it's not going to make for the best year. And, you look at it just for these players to grow. Even Shane Bieber is not having the best year as well. too. So a pitcher, our strength has always been the pitching with the Cleveland Guardians. So that's even in the downturn. But this is just such a young team that nothing really is expected much out of them.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. Anytime.
All right. Tell folks how they can follow you real quick on social media.
They can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at 1ST Lady of Sports. And I'm always open on Facebook as well at Rachel L. Hill on Facebook.com. So follow me anytime.
All right. Thank you so much again.
All right. Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
All right now.
Bye.
Well, we got to talk about the injuries. She was talking about injuries right there that affected the Guardians, but there are some big players, especially some bros who are on the sidelines right now, and it's impacting their teams. The biggest one has to be the absence of Tim Anderson, who's on the DL, right hamstring strain. Groin strain, excuse me. For TA, when we talk about MVP, when you do talk value, this is a White Sox team that wins 58% of the time when he's on the field. When he starts, they win 58%. They're below 500 for the season. They could really fall out of the way if he's gone for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like when you hear that, 10-day DL, you're optimistic, but then you realize these days they kind of use that as a filler to see how they react to everything, and then he may go to the 60. So I'm really, I'm with you. If he's out, they, right now they're saying 2 to 3 weeks. They may, they can play 500 ball and stay afloat. But if he's out for an extended period of time, it's going to be ugly for the White Sox. Because like you said, they were already struggling with him in the lineup this season. And it's just been a combination of injuries across the board. But you're talking about a guy who, when on the field, is, probably, in my opinion, the best leadoff hitter in the game. For years, people talked about his aggressive approach, his batting average on balls in play has been unrealistic, and they were saying it's going to come down, but he swings a lot and he hits a lot. He puts a lot of balls in play. He only has a 3% walk rate, so Tim's not walking. He's up there to hit the baseball, and so it's an injury that's really really going to affect the White Sox going forward, because that's a guy you can't afford to lose. Like one thing we've said, over the years, as he goes, they go. That's one team that, like, he is literally the motor of that team. So that's an injury. That's a tough one. That's going to be tough for them.
And you talk about a groin for shortstop.
Yeah.
That's a lot of reaching. And like I say, this is a leadoff hitter, a guy who steals bases, who goes for the extra bag, who will make it, his athleticism is a part of the package.
Yep.
And if that's diminished, and he was already struggling with the glove at a little bit of a part of this season, that range gets decreased. That also impacts the way he is defensively, and his aggressiveness is impacted when you can't get out, explode with those legs.
Yep.
And he is a leg-driven guy. His power is in that lower body. It's a big loss to not have Tim Anderson out there.
Yeah.
Royce Lewis, another guy just coming into his own.
Yeah.
And then goes right on the injury list.
And it's kind of funny because we say here saying, nah, man, you got to get him up. You got to play him. I don't care where you play him. And then he gets hurt running into the outfield wall. So it's like, man, like it's unfortunate, So, that's a guy. I think he's going to be really nice for Minnesota. We talk about building blocks and a team that, they're surprising people right now. But, just having athleticism to go from center field to shortstop, he made the catch. And, man, you really hate to see it. Yeah, you hate to see it.
And from the way that the Twins are talking about it, they are quite willing to put him back out in the outfield. I think they view it as a fluke type injury. Somebody got to, you learn. You got to learn that the wall just because it's got padding, it's not soft.
Yeah, you once you transition from that grass to that dirt, you got to get ready to brace yourself, because you're going that impact is going to match, especially as fast as these guys are moving.
And we've seen the greatest. Ken Griffey Jr. Man, lost a couple of seasons.
Yeah, man.
Into that wall.
Man, we seen plenty. Man, that shoulder is no joke.
No. And so, I'd like to see him get back better. Giancarlo Stanton, who is the king of going on injured lists. The dude, he might as well get his mail on the injured list. But he's back again. But it just feels like it's inevitable that he's going to be sidelined every month. There's going to be about a 2 or 3 game stretch where he has to sit down because physically he can't go.
Yeah, and it's really insane because, we for years we talked about how he didn't play the outfield, and they finally start, rotating him back in there, and then now, like you said, another injury. So like now you got to see how Aaron Boone reacts. Is he gonna put him back in the bubble wrap? And now but then you got the other outfielders are so bad. Like Gallo's been terrible. Aaron Hicks has been bad. Like it's like who are they gonna put out there? So it's kind of a thing where they need him. So it's just crazy. It's like you said. It's like the annual Juan Carlo DL trip every year. Like it's when is he gonna go? We know it's gonna happen, but when is he gonna go? So I think like you said, he is back. And the Yankees need him. They need him. So
Judge needs him. I mean, you need that protection. You need that a guy who just he may not be the greatest on base percentage guy, but Stanton's another one of those dudes. When he's putting bat on ball, it's just ropes. It's just ropes going all over the place, and they need that. Kyle Lewis, man, Kyle's another one of those guys. Just so much ability, and you just want him to be healthy.
Yeah, he really can't catch a break, and then he got hit in the head, didn't he? I think he had concussion symptoms, and with baseball, that can be tricky. I remember, Justin Morneau at the end of his career, basically, he had the concussions and he never recovered from it. So it's one of those things that you hate to see, especially a guy that was coming back. He had the dealing with all the knee injuries. Finally back healthy, trying to really help his ball club, who they had high expectations coming into this season, and they've really struggled. They got the longest playoff drought in Major League Baseball, and so to see him go back down, you really hate to see that. So hopefully he can really take his time and get right, because concussion is one of those things you don't want to play with, because when the concussion symptoms, when they creep back up on you, cloudy vision, things like that, you never want to be in that box and you can't see straight. So like I said, that's the guy. Hopefully, they take their time with him, because that's a part of their future. That's one of the building blocks out there in Seattle.
Yeah, they still have so much more to add to that team, but you look at him and J.P. Crawford and just the young talent that they do have. If they can get those guys on the field consistently, it just feels like the Mariners have something. It feels like they legitimately have blocks in place. It's just not coming together all at the same time, and that's been their biggest problem. Got to talk about Tommy Pham, man. Got to talk about Tommy Pham. Why is fantasy football creeping over into the job, man? Why is it creeping into the job to the point where you're taking it out during the game?
This is what I tell people. For anybody who argues, football isn't king in America, just look at this. Football is nowhere in sight. Here we are, middle of baseball, prime baseball season, and we have a dispute over fantasy football. And, this has kind of been Tommy Pham's thing for a while. He went back to San Diego. He told the guy, I know somebody with a gym if you want to meet up and fight. That's his thing. So it's funny. It's kind of unfortunate that like lately that's become more to talk about Tommy as opposed to his play on the field, especially because I know he was trying to get one more real nice contract before he calls it quits. And so this definitely won't help that case, because a lot of owners are probably looking at this like, okay, you slapping people in batting practice, that's a liability. But I mean, at the same time, if he can perform, I know Cincinnati's bad, but if he can put together, some sort of good season, I think he may be able to get it done. But this was crazy.
It's just one of them things, man. You can't let that happen out on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like these things can't be seen by the public.
No.
This is supposed to be one of those things that can only exist in people's minds. Like you have to be questioning, did it or didn't really happen, because it took place in the clubhouse or in the hallway.
I would say, as somebody who's walked through the clubhouse, there's way too many tunnels and back rooms to where they could have had that conversation in the back and nobody had a clue what happened. Like unless a reporter said something, like nobody should have seen that.
No, and that's the thing. And like you said, when you're a dude who's on the fringe of the league at this point, when you're trying to hang on, and your value is, there's a lot of guys who can do what you do. Really, it is the choice of whether or not we like you. Is basically what it comes down to. It.
Yeah.
Don't mess up with your money, man. Don't mess up with your money, Tommy. I mean, like, especially if you want to have a job around Major League Baseball when your career is over.
Yeah,
don't mess with the money.
We look at Dominic Smith just got demoted. It's like, bro, when you're on that fringe and there are other players who can do the same thing you do, stuff like this don't bode well for you.
No, you can't be the problem. You can't be the problem. And we know with this, with us too. I mean, just to be frank, like if the tie goes to the runner,
yeah, exactly,
we ain't the runner.
we are not the runner. You are the first baseman. I hate to break it to you. Yeah.
The biggest series in baseball this weekend, Dodgers, Mets, they split. Fantastic series. Well pitched series, dramatic series. And you get a complete reversal. You get the Dodgers win the first two, the Mets come back, win the last two. You think these are the two best teams in the National League?
Right now, yes, I do. And I think it's crazy when you think about the pitching that the Dodgers really have. Not the Dodgers, I'm sorry. The pitchers the Mets are waiting to come back, Well, you can get it DeGrom back, you get Mad Max back, and you get that really rolling. And like you said, they spent a lot of money on this squad, and it has paid off. Cohen came in with a point to prove, and I think this is one of those teams. When I look at ownership today and sports today, these are the owners I want. Like, I'm tired of these guys who are just there to collect a check. Like, if you're gonna buy the team, spend money to contend, and that's what the Mets have done. And like you said, a series like this, I still too early to tell much, but it's still a good preview. Possible NLCS preview, but I think right now these are definitely the two best teams in the National League.
Well, if you're baseball, it couldn't have played out any better, though.
Yeah,
to get those teams to play over two games apiece over 4 games, and give you what they gave you. There weren't blowouts in this where it looked like one team was overmatched. They gave you enough to make you think that if you saw them in October, it's a legit series and it's worth building up to. So with all the money on that field between those two franchises,
man, yeah,
those
two crazy payrolls, yeah, that's two, man. And those are two teams, like, they're gonna be that way for a while. Like, Cohen, he's already said I don't care. Like, he was the guy during the CBA agreements who was like, I'm cool with the the elevated tax. It's fine. But like, as sports fans, that's what you want to see. These guys really sit and hoard money and make money hand over fist, and it's like, well, just put it back into the team. Like, that was one thing people always loved about Dr. Buss with the Lakers. Like, he spent money because he knew he was going to make money, and it's like, if the cash register is going to keep ringing, why not do that? And so, like you said, with these two teams, the Dodgers got their own network, that ownership group. What they're gonna do. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to make a move for Juan Soto.
They'll definitely try to make a big move.
That's what they do. Like, at this point, I expect the Dodgers to do Dodger like things and make something like that happen. So you love to see it, and for baseball, I know a lot of us may not like it when these teams, if this were like, say, a playoff series and you got to do the two different time zones. But for baseball, this is amazing. You got your New York market, your Los Angeles market, and these are two contending teams. These aren't bad teams.
Dodgers Mets is always good drama.
Yeah,
going all the way back to the 80s, Dodgers Mets is good drama. These are franchises that are connected in a lot of ways. They've had series that matter. They've had, National League Championship Series. You've had players that have been on both teams, and that over the course of major significant players. So I think those two markets matter. Those two franchises matter. And if they're there, if they're one standing at the end of it all, baseball's happy because you're going to get a lot of TV sets on. You're going to get a lot of TV sets on. And in Middle America, too, because they have names. Both of those teams have names of guys that you will turn on the TV to watch. Play or pitch, and that right there is that you got to have that in the postseason, and I think baseball is really holding on to that to try to get some star power in the playoffs. Lastly, we got to hit on this great package. We got to check in on with Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers. We got an interview clip coming up with Dave Roberts right now, the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ray, we got it. Nope. Well, I guess we don't have the package on the Dodgers.
Shout out to Dave Roberts, though, doing a great job. Guaranteed the World Series this year, so
that's the expectation.
Yeah,
that's the expectation. You might as well say you guarantee it, because if you're the manager of the Dodgers, the manager of the Yankees, you're the manager of certain franchises. The expectation is
absolutely World Series or bust.
We put the money down. The owners are going to tell you, we put the money down. So you bring me the ring. That's what you got to do.
And I think that's why he gets the leeway when they do lose in the NLCS or have these unfortunate losses, because we do have it.
We do have it.
Body is Nick Hamilton, and I'm live at the ballpark for for MLBbros.com.
All right, I'm here with championship manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the best teams in Major League Baseball, the one and only, the man himself, Dave Roberts, celebrating 50 years on the planet not too long ago. So how does it feel half a century?
You know what? It feels good. I would have loved to have celebrated my birthday with a win, but it didn't happen. But you know what? I feel good, and I sort of in a good place. I love our ball club. Life, family's good, so I got the best job in the world, which I'm very grateful for.
Now, you're part of one of the hottest teams in baseball, but one player in particular, Mookie Betts. We see what he's done on the field, but what's he like off the field, and how fortunate are you to be able to manage a player of his caliber?
I think when I think of Mookie off the field, I think of humble. He's just a very simple guy. He's got a tight circle, obviously, with his wife, Bri, and his daughter, and he travels with family, and he's a great teammate in the clubhouse, pouring into the young guys. He's very methodical in his work, his preparation, and you know, when he gets out on the field, he plays with joy and energy, excitement, and right now he's the best player on the planet.
Now, you are in a esteemed company. Cito Gaston was the first black manager to win a World Series. Now you becoming the second. What does that mean for the future of the game as far as managers are concerned, to be able to for teams to give opportunity to more black managers, to get them the opportunity to try to win a World Series like you two did?
Well, I know there's a lot of talk about that. Players, you know, of color, coaches, managers, but you know, like everyone says, talk is cheap. You know, and I think that it's just giving guys an opportunity to know that a black man can lead an organization, can manage up, can manage the media, can manage a clubhouse. And you know, Dusty Baker's a person that I really admire, respect, and it's interesting is that people talk to him as a player's manager, but you know, they never talk about how smart he is. And, you know, I think that, you know, it gets a little short-sighted when you don't talk about his baseball acumen as well, because he's one of the greatest of all time.
Well, you have a great baseball acumen yourself. Definitely want to make sure we highlight that. But also, too, let me ask you this. Now, you're a huge wine connoisseur, so I have to ask you, what is the wine of choice that you drink after a victory, and what is the wine of choice that you drink after an unfortunate loss?
So I'll go with the unfortunate loss. I go more whiskey, and it hits a little harder. But after a nice win, I'll probably go with something from Bordeaux. It's France. It's probably a thing called Left Bank, which is more Cabernet based, but I like aged Bordeaux.
Now, you own a winery, so is that your second calling once you decide to lead the game of baseball?
You know what? That's more of a hobby. But I enjoy wine. It just kind of brings people together. I enjoy food and travel, so it's a nice diversion.
Now, lastly, before I let you get on out of here, the All-Star game is finally coming back to Los Angeles. This is your home, Blue Heaven. Is Dave Roberts going to throw some type of wine party or some type of party going on that week?
That's fair. You know what? I've got to get on something because I got to get an opportunity to showcase our great ballpark, our great city. So there'll be something going on. There'll be some wine flowing for sure.
All right. Well, make sure you get MLBbro.com an invitation.
Sounds good.
All right. The one and only Dave Roberts. Thank you so much, sir.
Appreciate you.
That was great. We got to blame Ray.
Yeah.
Look, Ray, we got to talk to Rob about this because when we call the cues up, man, the video's supposed to be there. Wait at all. It's supposed to just be there. They video. And then it's got to be there. But
Shout out to Ray, man.
Shout out to Ray. He does fantastic work for us. Yeah, I want to be at the party, man. We got to talk to Rob about getting us an invite to Dave Roberts.
Yeah, I definitely got plans to be out there for All-Star.
I hate David Roberts because I'm a Yankees fan, and I'm never going to forget him starting the worst fall from grace for a single team in all of sports. But I couldn't be happier for the dude as far as just what he's accomplished as a manager and how he's gotten the Dodgers, a team that people forget had not won a World Series since 1989. 1989, and Dave Roberts got them back and has made the Dodgers brand mean something again. They are a team that now people fear. They're not just expected to win. You're scared to play them. They got that much talent and that much ability. So I wish them nothing but success, except when they play the Yankees.
Yeah, no, absolutely, bro. It's great to see.
Man, I think we done hit it for this week. We've covered the topics. We've touched all the bases. So we just got to set it back for you and Malik next week. Y'all take it back.
Hey, man, You held us down, bro. I appreciate it, man. Definitely did your thing in the A mic, man. You know, you always welcome here. You family, bro. Anytime.
Bro, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Just trying to hold it down for y'all. So thank you for joining us here on High and Outside. For Dante Miles, I'm David Grubb, and for our man Ray Timblin, who took care of things for us as the producer. We'll be back next week, same time. Do it all again. Peace.
Watch High and Outside with Malik Wright and Dante Miles every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live.
MLBbro.com, covering black and brown major league.